All right. Yeah, boy, Scary Alvarez is back. We've spent a lot of time together lately. They're kind of fun. Hope your significant others aren't getting jealous of the quality time that the two of us have been spending together in the dark. This is Scary Alvarez podcast. Quick hitter, another quick hitter. It's all about, mostly about, the commitment of Billy Edwards Jr., transfer quarterback from Maryland. He's a new Badger starter in all likelihood, unless something wild happens with the other portal guy we brought in from out west, or if Carter Smith turns into like a Jonathan Taylor like prodigy as a true freshman. But yeah, got our guy. That's exciting. Hey, I want to remind you before we get started, if you do old Scary Alvarez a favor, I really appreciate you subscribing to this lovely, wonderful, and yes, still free podcast. I keep it free so you get your money's worth every time. Thanks a lot for that. And you can like it too if you do. You can like it if you don't. That also works. But anyway, as I alluded to, new quarterback, new sheriff in town. Terps guy. So what do we think about him? I can tell you this, and this is as a longtime fan, some might say the biggest fan of this football program. I had my sights set on some of the same guys you did. Maybe Emmett Tier from up in Washington State. Maybe you got a kid transferring out of Berkeley. You're thinking Wisconsin might be tied to some of these big arms, big names. And the reality is, we don't know how those negotiations went or if they went at all. But we are where we are. So whatever stars may have been in your eyes about getting the ridiculously, fabulously subjective top guys in like the 247 portal rating stack, because it's hard to rate those. I mean, go look at Curtis Rourke, the for lack of a better term, star for Indiana, who transferred into the Hoosiers from the MAC last year, or this upcoming for the season. Check out where he was rated. There were some people who were like, yeah, he's got some upside, but that was not considered one of the Big Ten's premier transfers. In fact, routinely, Tanner Van Dyke was rated ahead of him. Childs was rated ahead of him, things like that. The guy ends up being an all-conference type performer. So you can kind of throw that stuff out from the beginning and look more at what does the player look like? What do they bring to the table? Okay, look, here's the deal. And they're going to get better analysis from Ryan Anderson's and Ryan Herring's and other podcasts that will go into that stuff. What I can tell you is this. Okay, the basics. This kid, good size, solid speed, dual threat kind of quarterback. He's not a superstar runner, but he is solid and pretty good arm, quick release, fairly accurate. Too many picks. One pick is too many picks, but too many picks. That's something he's got to clean up. But he's playing for kind of a disaster of an outfit this year in Maryland. As a disaster of a team. So it's easy to imagine a scenario with a good offensive line and really good running back play, where this quarterback could be significantly more effective and significantly more efficient. And I am increasingly excited to dig a little more into his game and see what he can do. But kind of like many of you, when I first heard the rumor circulating yesterday or earlier today, in some cases for some of y'all, it felt like a letdown. It did. I mean, we're expecting to get some news on one of these big time quote unquote studs in the transfer portal at quarterback, and you get something very different. And then I think to myself, these guys I'm disappointed about not getting. Had I heard of them 2 weeks ago, had I been deep diving into their play before someone on the Rivals board told me they were good? No, not necessarily. And that's not to say these guys are not legitimately rated higher than our boy Billy. I'm just telling you, there's going to be a lot of shakeout. And I think if you were to compare for example, it's not to pick on 247, but to compare their transfer rating quarterback board right now in their rankings, come back in 1 year and do a side-by-side comparison of who is ranked where and then how they ended up doing, I think it would be widely divergent to how they do it. I think in some ways it sounds strange, but transfer portal rankings are probably harder than high school rankings because a lot less goes into them. They're a lot more like, oh God, this guy's in the portal, got to rate him. Whereas high school players have been watched for years in some cases, multiple games, things like that. So I'm just saying, take it with a grain of salt. If you're hung up on the Badgers getting, and I think actually our guy is a 4-star transfer in at least one of the major services. Okay, so if you need that to go on, you got it. But let's back up. Does this guy make the Wisconsin Badgers a better football team in 2025 than they were in 2024? There's no way, as a human being or whatever, close to a human being as I am, I'm a bit of a demigod, to 100% know for sure. But it is scathingly highly likely that the Wisconsin offense, with him at quarterback, is a significantly better offense than it was with Brandon Locke at the helm in 2024. That is almost a certainty. You know, one of the great activities, it's tortuous, but I go through and say, if we had had Van Dyke all season, X wins. And I had kind of resolved it was going to be 7 or 8, even with all the problems this team had. So patch up a few of those problems. You can see Wisconsin is pouring a ton of resources into making the defensive line better. Did they get an All-American? They're not going to get one. But they got some guys who can play, and that's huge. Okay, we're going to address some other positions as we go, for sure. Certainly defensive backfield will happen. But does this guy make Wisconsin a better team? I think it is almost unequivocally going to be yes. Okay, so the question is how much better? That's where the mystery comes in. Okay, we got all of spring, we got fall practice, and as we've already established, a daunting, horrendous, hellacious slate of games next season that will bear all this out. But as I sit here on a Monday night, not watching the Bears and Vikings, because why? I think this is some good news, and I like it. The more I look, the more I like. The more film I watch, and I haven't watched a ton, but I've watched a fair amount, the more I like. He can move. He can extend plays. He can get the ball out quickly. Very important. And he's tall. I mean, relatively tall. I think he's, 6'2", 6'3", 200-plus pound guy. It's a different animal than Brandon Locke. And this isn't the crap on Brandon Locke show. It's just that's who we had this year, and I think we did better. Was it a home run grand slam superstar, Miami Hurricanes getting Cam Ward kind of thing? It definitely was not. But this kid had an offer from the University of Michigan, and God knows they needed some quarterback upgrading in this offseason. So that's objectively telling you something. Okay. So I'm here. I want Billy the Kid to ride here. This could be a really interesting obviously spring camp, but going into the season where there's a lot of unknown. But if you believe in Jeff Grimes and you believe in Luke Fickell's overall vision, I think this offense is going to be significantly more dynamic and effective than it was last season. Hopefully, with long clock churning drives. We used to sort of make fun of those. That would be great, and no one would be happier than Mike Tressel to give his defensive unit a little bit of space. So anyway, Billy Edwards Jr., good pickup. Obviously, the grade isn't incomplete until you see more, but I feel pretty good about this, and I'm ready to get him into town and see him cook a little bit. All right, let's go, Badgers. This portal's just getting crazy. I think we just added a long snap or two. Whew! Damn, boys. Keep cooking. Scary Alvarez is out.